All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to the 15.6 release kickoff. My name is Justin Ferris. I'm not David DeSanto. I have a little bit less facial hair and a little bit more hair on the top of my head. David's out today, but I'll be hosting and your MC for today's live stream. I'm joined by some of the most awesome members of the GitLab product team. I'll list them off in order of which they'll be presenting. First off is Melissa Ushakov, our group manager for Plan, who will be providing updates on our dev section. Hillary Benson, our director of product for Secure, who will be providing updates on our sec section. Taylor McCaslin, our group product manager, who will be providing us updates on the data science section. Kevin Chu, group manager for the monitor stage, providing updates on ops. And then Josh Lambert, who will bring us home, director of product for Enablement and SaaS platform section, will be providing updates there. At GitLab, we're focused on delivering value iteratively, aligned with our fiscal year 23 product investment themes. I'll list them here. First one is GitLab hosted first. GitLab hosted first does not mean GitLab hosted only, but GitLab.com is the largest known self-managed deployment. And we know if we can meet our own requirements, we can meet our customers' requirements. Our second theme is improving key workflow usability. We know this theme will be focused on improving our key workflows. And we know if we improve learnability, we can drive multi-stage adoption, making GitLab more and more valuable for our users. And then finally, our last theme is extending our lead in CI/CD. DevOps doesn't end until applications are deployed to production. We want to make sure that is a seamless and frictionless experience as possible for our users. Before I hand it over to Melissa, I have one short public service announcement. On this live stream, we'll be discussing our product roadmap, which includes upcoming features and functionality. It's important to note that the information presented is for informational purposes only, so please do not rely on this information for purchasing or planning purposes. We plan ambitiously here at GitLab, and all the details discussed on this live stream are subject to change. The timing of any products, features, and functionality remain at the sole discretion of GitLab. And with that, I'll go ahead and hand it over to Melissa, who's going to kick us off.
Thank you. Hi, y'all. I'm Melissa Ushakov. I'm a group manager for Plan, and today I'm covering the dev section. Dev is comprised of manage, plan, and create. So I'm going to be covering all the great stuff that these teams are working on. Starting with webhooks cold start. So we're iterating on our recently implemented webhooks disabling feature by accounting for cold starts. This is a common scenario, especially in more complex setups where the first call takes just a little bit longer to execute. So we're going to be adding some logic to account for that. We're also going to be extending our feature flag to allow for disabling for a specific actor. So if there's a specific webhook that's taking longer to execute, that one can be allowed to basically execute a little bit longer without disabling the entire feature flag. More improvements to webhooks. We're going to be encrypting the data associated to this. So instead of it displaying clear text in the UI, it's going to be encrypted. And we're also going to give you the ability to mask certain portions of callback URLs, since that can be sensitive data as well. This work is important to our security-minded customers, and it's actually blocking adoption for a couple of people. Skim has been available in SaaS for some time, and it's now coming to self-managed. This feature will make it much easier to manage users, since Skim can be used to provision and deprovision users automatically by connecting it to your source of truth for user management. And on the theme of user management, we're making it much easier for group administrators to have control over their users. This feature is particularly valuable to SaaS admins. So we recently released a feature where you can claim a domain at the group level. So now what you can do is that if a user that belongs to your group matches that email domain, you can essentially mark that user as owned by that group. And that unlocks some really interesting features like controlling that user's 2FA. So group owners can self-serve disabling 2FA for those users and not have to reach out to customer support. There's more coming along this thread of user management at the group level, so stay tuned for that. Now I'm going to move on to our improved key workflow usability theme. We're going to be streamlining the issues experience by moving some of the least commonly used items on the menu to a more actions menu. So I can show you what that would look like. You see here these options that are kind of below the fold anyway. We're moving to a more actions menu here. So that just is less cluttered UI and also expands on this existing pattern. We are going to be exposing a to-do whenever there's a request to join a group. This brings that request, it bubbles it up. Right now, the only place where that's displayed is in the users group members UI. There's also email notification, but this is another way to bubble that request to make sure it's addressed in a timely fashion. We are also going to be exposing more information when a user is deleted. And this will just give administrators a broader picture of exactly what will happen when a user is deleted, along with their contributions, to make sure that's the intended action and there's no accidents. So you can see here, we're going to display the groups, projects, issues, and merge requests associated as part of the delete workflow. And last but not least is that during the GitHub migration, users expect that all relationships between objects will be pertained and migrated. So we're going to be expanding our existing functionality to also bring over relationship between issues and MRs as part of the GitHub migration process. And it's going to look like this with the related merge requests. And that is it for dev. I'm going to be now handing it over to Hillary, who's going to cover sec.
Great, thanks, Melissa. Let me just share out my screen here. All right, so there is just a massive amount of work actually going on in our security and compliance functionality in 15.6. So to kick us off, composition analysis is kicking off a multi-month effort to replace License Finder, which is the underlying technology for our license compliance functionality. So when that work completes, likely sometime early next year, users will see a number of benefits. So the new architecture will position GitLab to be able to provide more accurate license data over time. Users are likely to receive more timely updates to support new languages and language versions. And this work will also eliminate the separate license compliance job that users have to run today. And that's because license compliance will start just using the software bill of materials that we produce within our container and dependency scanning features. The static analysis team is beginning work to move Scala SAS coverage from spot bugs to SEMGREP-based scanning. As a reminder, SEMGREP-based scanning is superior to the other various language-specific open source analyzers because it provides faster scan times, better results, more consistent user experience, and also more flexibility in defining custom rule sets, regardless of what the language is that's being scanned. The static analysis team is also working on changes to the vulnerability report that will eventually allow us to clean up the report and do some record keeping for traceability if users decide to remove rules. Whereas today, if you remove a rule, the previous findings for that rule stay on the vulnerability report, which isn't necessarily what users want or expect. The dynamic analysis team has a couple of pretty significant headlines in 15.6. So first, they're taking up work in sort of a net new area for us, which is API discovery. One of the biggest challenges in security testing your APIs is knowing what APIs you have to begin with. So the idea here is to generate an open API schema from an application that doesn't already produce its own schema without actually having to run that application. So in a sense, it's a sort of easy button for setting up security testing of your APIs. This is a major project that'll take some time to complete, but it's kicking off in 15.6. And the team is starting, as you can see, with Java Spring Boot REST APIs. Second, the dynamic analysis team is also working to move our browser-based DAF scanner to general availability. This is super exciting. We're going to do this in stages. And so the first GA delivery will include the crawler itself, the authentication service, and our passive vulnerability checks. Active vulnerability checks will be moved to GA later on when they're complete. But this work is a big deal because it will allow us to provide a much better experience for DAS passive vulnerability checks, as it means we're able to replace OWASP ZAP as the default DAS scanner for those checks. Threat Insights has some significant architectural work and post-launch inline training improvements that they have on deck for this milestone, but they're also continuing work on a multi-milestone project to enable continuous vulnerability scanning, with a specific focus this month on ingesting software bill of material reports. So continuous vulnerability scanning is a big deal for users because it'll mean that they can maintain visibility into the security footprint of their dependencies without actually having to take any action in order to do that, which is what they have to do today. So the idea here is that anytime the advisory database that includes vulnerability advisories, anytime that's updated with new vulnerability information, or anytime the user's software bill of material changes, then we update the match between those two things. So users will always know in sort of near real time what dependencies exist in their software, and then what vulnerabilities those dependencies are exposed to. So security policies team is working to add support for role-based approvers. That'll give users who are creating scan result policies more flexibility in defining who's actually eligible to approve vulnerabilities. And they're also working to provide support for dependency scanning in scan execution policies, which is a very heavily requested feature from customers. And then finally, the compliance team is working this milestone on a group level setting that will allow users to apply a default compliance framework to any new project that's created within that group. That's a great usability improvement because today, even if users have attached a compliance framework at the group level, they still have to manually tag subordinate projects. So this will save quite a bit of manual work. And that is it for the section. So I'll pass it off to Taylor to take us through what's going on in data science.
Awesome. Thanks, Hillary. So today I'm going to focus primarily on our model ops stage, which is focused on supporting and enabling machine learning workloads across GitLab. So to get started, I'll touch briefly on our applied ML group. This is focused on applying machine learning to GitLab features to make them smarter, more automated. We released Suggested Reviewers, GitLab's first ML-powered feature, last release. This release, we are working to clean up a variety of bugs and backend UI enhancements. You can see it's a long laundry list of things to improve. So that's our primary focus for that. I do want to talk real briefly about a single engineering group here at GitLab called AI Assist. This is a machine learning recommendations as you're typing code to do line completions and suggestions. Today, this is a single engineering group that's working through a POC that's moving into an NVC. This group has actually just added support to the GitLab workflow VS Code plugin for a self-hosted version of a Faux Pilot open source project, so you can connect to a self-hosted instance of Faux Pilot. This is just the start of us getting into this area. We're actually in the process of transitioning this from a single engineering group to a product group, so much more to come on this. But we're starting to fully support these open source models, and in 15.6, we'll be starting to develop GitLab's own model to power a version of this as well. Moving over to MLOps, which is about enabling machine learning workflows across GitLab features. We're looking to extend the package registry to become a model registry. You can actually host your machine learning models with the package registry today using the generic packages. We're going to be creating a new package type for machine learning models and metadata. We're actually going to be creating an open source standard around this. Today, models are packaged in many, many different ways. There's no single standard, so we're proposing a standard which will be supported in the package registry. This will allow you to version and manage your different versions of packages or of ML models within the GitLab package registry and have an API to access those. This also sets us up for the future to actually do auto deployment of models for you to have inference of those via Kubernetes. Much more to come on that in the future. So we're started with this extension of the package registry. And then finally, I want to talk about another single engineering group focused on a machine learning experiment tracking feature. This is an integration with MLflow. This is nearing NVC availability for customers to try. So if you use MLflow today, check out this epic. There's a video overviewing the interactions that are available here. This will eventually tie into that model registry. So if you use MLflow, you'll basically update your URL to point at GitLab to track your experiments. And then in the future, will allow you to take those experiments that are ready to go to packaged models and transition that to the package registry with that new model registry that we're building. So that is a quick overview of our model ops features. All of them are focused on improving key workflow usability in the product. And with that, I'll hand it over to Kevin to talk about ops.
Thanks, Taylor. Awesome. So I'll be representing ops section for this kickoff. As a quick refresher, the ops section includes the verify, package, release, configure, and monitor stages. Today, I'm going to be highlighting 6 things along the themes of improving key workflows and extending our lead in CI/CD. And there's a lot more planned, so please dig into the individual teams' plans if you're interested. Item number 1 is from the monitor stage. The respond group has been working to establish incident timelines as a single source of truth on what happens during an incident. And one of our strategies to make that really useful is to capture these important details, make it as easy, intuitive, and automated as possible. So as an example, here is an incident that recently happened. And you'll notice if you use it before, changing the status automatically creates an event in the incident, but not the severity. Severity is obviously a really important detail in an incident. So in this iteration, we'll be adding this automation to the incident timeline. And we'll be also adding a bunch of other features along to the incident timeline, such as incident tags and so forth. So if you haven't checked it out yet, take a look and let us know what you think. The second item is from the package group. So the package group in this milestone is focused on improving storage management and storage calculation for the package and container registries, so that users have an accurate view of costs and have a chance to be more efficient. So along the theme of efficiency, one of the improvements I like to share here is the ability to bulk delete packages directly from the UI. So previously, you had to click delete a bunch of times. This makes the whole interaction quite cumbersome. We're adding this multi-select feature, so you can get rid of the packages you don't want and get to the packages you actually need quickly and easily. Onto the theme of extending our lead in CI/CD, the runner fleet group is working to bring visibility to queue management. And the first iteration of that is we're going to be showing duration and queue time directly in the job list view. This will give users more insights into what a runner is doing. And this is particularly useful when you have a job that has been pending for a long time. You have no idea what's going on. Having this information right there on the job list view will give you the information you need to make the appropriate decisions. The next item I want to highlight is one of the most requested features for CI variables. So users want the ability to define possible values for CI variables and let users set them when actually running a pipeline. So we plan to let users define possible values for any CI variables via YAML, as the example you see here. And when actually running a pipeline, the first value that's defined will become the default value. And of course, users can select other possible values. We hope that having this feature will enable more users to run pipelines without having to have previous knowledge on what the correct values are ahead of time. Moving on to an improvement from the Pipeline Insights group. In the last milestone, we added some important contextual information in the Build Artifacts page so users can quickly understand where the artifacts came from. In 15.6, we're adding a filter option. So you can filter by things like branch name, artifact name, pipeline ID, who the trigger author was, and so forth. This will enable users to quickly find the exact artifact that you're looking for. And last but not least, the release group has been working on improving the deployment approval workflow. In this milestone, we're adding a bunch of things to this particular UI when approvers and people trying to merge the approval or deploy the approve the deployment are working together. You'll see there's a new improvement here. There's a table that shows the approvers, the approvals needed, and who is approved by. Furthermore, we're adding the comments related to the approval directly within this modal. Lastly, we're adding these badges so people know where the approvers, which group they belong to. So for deployment that requires multi-step approvals, this is easy and intuitive to use. And we hope that makes deployment in general much more pleasant at GitLab. That's all from the ops section. I'll turn it over to Josh for enablement highlights.
Thanks, Kevin. Those are some exciting improvements coming to our deployment section. In particular, I always love approval rules workflows and making those easier. For the enablement section, we also have a number of exciting improvements. Like everyone, these are just a small subset of what we're working on. So please do check out direction pages and our kickoff videos for more details on what we're working on. But with that, let's go ahead and get kicked off here with GitLab hosted first and our first item we're working on, which is we are working to further encrypt how we handle passwords, in particular for Rails, as well as also non-Rails passwords and secrets in our configuration files for our self-managed deployments. We have already provided further encryption options for things like the LDAP password, and we're now going through and also providing options to further encrypt other things like incoming email passwords and outgoing email passwords and things like that as well. So with that, we are also moving on towards further improvements on our Gitly cluster service. Right now, we have a SQL database that provides a lot of the consensus tracking across all the different underlying Gitly nodes to understand which ones are up to date, which ones might have some challenges. And we want to go ahead and get rid of that second source of truth and implement a RAF-based decentralized architecture. This should improve reliability and also reduce the need to have two sources of truth in sync at all times. So looking forward to this improvement to significantly improve our Gitly cluster service for everyone, but also our SaaS services. And this is also another item there on further improvements with Raft. And moving on towards our database group, we are working towards improving our support for partitioning. In particular, the first tables we're up here on purchasing themselves are our CI tables, as you can see. And this is to provide the CI team with improved tooling to help them go ahead and actually split these tables out, as they have grown quite large on GitLab.com, but also for many of our customers utilize a lot of pipelines as well. From there, we can move on to our improvements to our UX workflows. And in particular, we are quite close on adding search filtering by programming language to improve our code search experience and help you narrow down the potential options. We are quite close. The back-end portion is already done, in fact, and now we're going through and adding in the front end and making sure it's available for our customers to utilize. So you can see what this look like here in this screenshot. I am really excited for this improvement to come and furthering our left-hand navigation here by adding additional filtering options, which is quite exciting. From there, we also are working on indexing additional content, in particular the all users list. So right now, when you mention someone, sometimes it can be kind of slow. And we're going to go through and actually add this to the Elasticsearch index so it can be much, much quicker and provide a much faster experience when mentioning people or otherwise trying to find users within the platform. From there, transitioning over to more of the maintenance work here, we are moving projects and wikis over to the self-service framework. These are the last two we have to go through and do. We've been working on these for some time, and overall, this will just make the overall geo service much more maintainable and allow the group to go more quickly in the future and implement further improvements faster. From there, we are also working to have upgrade a Ruby version to 3.0. Ruby 2.7 will be no longer maintained in next year. And so we want to go ahead and actually make sure we're on Ruby 3.0 before that happens. And so our performance team here is working on this to help make sure we can coordinate this rollout across the platform and have it go smoothly and also realize the benefits of Ruby 3.0 as well. From there, we are also continuing our work on investigating the in general memory usage of Puma, which, as you can see here, can grow over time. And what we're doing here is improving the tooling available to understand how Puma operates in production. And we have most of this done. And now what we're working on left here is adding the option to upload those reports out to storage so they can be read later from a production service like GitLab.com here. And this will allow us to get a better idea of what's happening here and how to make further improvements to Puma over the next couple of months and years. And from there, the final item is that we are actually wrapping up, and I'll hand it over here to David to take us home on the rest of, Justin, to wrap up our kickoff here. Thanks.
Thanks, Josh. We can hand it to David too and see if he responds. But no, thanks. Thanks everyone for presenting. We are running out of time on the call today, so I'm only going to highlight a couple of features. But I do encourage you to check out our release kickoff page to learn more about all the great things the team's working on this coming milestone. But on a couple highlights for GitLab hosted first, I'm excited about the RAP-based decentralized architecture of GitLab cluster. And then what Melissa articulated around all of the webhook improvements we're making. So those are great. For key workflow usability, search filtering by programming language, the ML model exploration work for that AI assist single engineering group that Taylor mentioned. All the license finder work that Hillary went over is super exciting. In addition to the browser-based DAST general availability. To-dos for access requests. I've heard that from our customers many times. And so that's a great quality of life improvement for anyone who's an owner of a group and gets lots of requests for access. User search index, I just added this one, but I run into that all the time. So that's going to be a great improvement when you can make filtering or searching for users and mentions much, much faster. For extender lead in CI/CD, the improvement to storage management and storage calculations for package and container registries, the incident tags, MVC. I wanted a special shout out to observability group and the work they're doing to improve error tracking on top of the open beta. Those first foundational features for the next runner token architecture is a bunch of great work there. The front end access to Kubernetes APIs through CAS, and then finally improvements to environments page and deployment approval. So lots of great work this coming milestone. Again, special thanks to all the presenters today walking us through the plans for this milestone. And thank you to everyone on the call watching. Like I said, you can check out the release kickoff page to learn more details. All right, thanks.